All right. Look, I thought a solid first day. Obviously, we got a lot of things that we've got to improve on, a lot of things we have to get better at. But I thought for a first day, it was a solid first day. We 90 guys, and all of them, with the exception of Anthony Johnson, was limited. So I thought it was a good start.
Dennis, what are some of the things you want to accomplish first couple of days of camp?
Yeah, I think the first thing you want to do is you want to get out here and see how much retention there is from what we were able to get accomplished in the spring. And I thought overall, it was solid in that area today. A lot of this is kind of the ramp up period, making sure that we're getting guys really in good, that they're really in good shape for the time that we put the pads on and we really start, really practicing. So today was an hour and a half, tomorrow's an hour 45, and we get into a couple hour practices. So it's not until next week that we, really get into the, kind of the grind of training camp. But, the biggest thing in training camp really is there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now. It's pitch black, all right? And guys just need to put their head down, come to work every single day, focus on what they need to get better at. And if you do that and trust in that process, the results come.
You consider the first few days leading up to pads sort of the ramp-up period, and then that's when the grind really starts?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not as physical right now. I mean, we ran around in underwear today with helmets on. We'll do that again tomorrow. Then we put some shells on for the next couple of days, and then we get into some padded practices. So that's when football really begins. But these are important days, and we need to take advantage of them.
What are some of the things you want to see as Paulson and Devo progresses? Like, what are some of the things you want to see him do all this summer?
Yeah, I think Paulson's done a really good job for us. I think he's played really well. I think we got to work with him a little bit at some of the transitions at the top of the route. Some of the balls down the field, I think those are areas that he needs to improve on. He's smart, he's tough, and he's a good worker. So he's got the skill set, he's got the qualities that we look for. There's a couple technique things that we need to get better at, particularly at the top of the route and playing the ball down the field.
What do you want to see from Derek these first couple of days? I know you said he's got a pretty good grasp of the
Yeah, I think it's just really taking command of the offense, being able to get in the huddle, get the play called, get the guys out of the huddle, get them lined up, execute the proper play, make the right reads, make the right checks, all those kinds of things. That's what we're really looking for. And he's been outstanding thus far in that regard.
Do you envision utilizing maybe Jason Hill this way, going way back with Coach Carmichael on offense, kind of like a Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara, and those type routes? I've noticed sometimes he's hitting quick routes in the flat or angle routes.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't put him in that category in terms of what we do with him, and I don't want to kind of let everybody know what our plans are in terms of how we want to use him in the passing game. But I do think that he's a guy that we can get more involved in the passing game and do some different stuff with him.
What was it like to have Jimmy Graham back on a practice field with the Saints?
Yeah, it was great. Jimmy is obviously going to be a Saints Hall of Famer. Has been a great player in this league. Was a tremendous player for us before, and it was great to see him back out here. And the great thing about Jimmy is I think he's grown and matured from his time here. He's got a very workmanlike attitude, and like he told me, look, I just want to come in here and contribute in any way that I can. And so he's coming into this thing with the right attitude.
Yeah, when there are no pads, is there anything you can take from the lines? What are some of the things maybe you're looking at there when you're evaluating?
From the
Defensive line, offensive line standpoint.
Yeah, look, I mean, really in this environment, you're really looking more about, feet and hand placement, both on the offensive line and the defensive line. You don't really get the physicality that you're going to get in the pads. I think the hardest thing for the O&D line during this time is, working on your pad level, because when there's no pads on, people tend to play a little bit higher. So there's some bad techniques, bad habits that can get created in that type of environment. So I think we got to pay attention to that.
Dennis, forgive me. In the past, did you always run gases, or was that more like a show of solidarity today at the end of practice?
Yeah, I got challenged. So let's go. Let's compete. So I ran them and did better than some of them. Just so you know.
Who challenged you? Who challenged you?
Lattimore.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ran right next to him.
Did you beat him?
No. We'd have had a problem if I'd have beaten him.
That's fair.
Did you talk to him while you were running?
No, I was just trying to breathe.
Hey, what did you see that led to the signing of Max Garcia, and we saw him playing a little bit of center today? Is that sort of where?
Yeah, I think that's the plan, is to work him in at center. That was a position that I felt like we were a little bit light at, especially with the loss of Billy Price. So we worked him out. I know he's played some guard, he's played some center before, and so he had a good workout, and he was a guy we thought could add something to us.
First impressions of Trey Turner?
I probably have to go in and watch the tape to really evaluate. I mean, there's 22 guys out there on every single play, and there's 3 or 4 groups going, so it'd be hard for me to give you a first impression there.
This time last year, there's big questions about Mike Thomas' availability. How much of a boost is it for everyone just to have him out there at football?
Well, I think the boost is that we had everybody available at least for some portion of practice today. I think that's a step in the right direction. Certainly, I don't think anybody's made light of how important we think Mike Thomas is to our football team and what we think he can bring to our football team. I know Mike's been working extremely hard to get himself ready. I thought he looked pretty good out there in what I was able to see. So, I think that's it's a really positive step.
Dennis, was there an emphasis in getting guys on your roster who played a lot of football, like a lot of NFL football? I mean, you look at like receiver core, you got a bunch of guys who have played, started.
Well, look, I think when you're looking at constructing your roster, you have to have a mix of older veteran players, guys that are in that mid-level 3 through 7 years in the league, and then you need some young developmental guys. I mean, because this is a league where it's about acquiring talent and developing talent, and then hopefully being able to keep your own guys, on your roster. So, I think, yes, there's a certain number of guys that we felt like, okay, here's a position that we'd like to add a veteran player to. But then there's also some positions where, we felt like we had some good veteran presence and we wanted to add a little bit of youth to the roster. So I think there's a good mixture of both.
Do you have to see a lot of Jimmy Graham, or is that just something once you get into the preseason that you just trust?
Well, I would say this, and I learned this from Sean, with all of these older veteran players, I don't have to see it every day, but at some point I got to see it, So yeah, look, there's going to be a point here in training camp preseason where all these veteran guys, have to be able to show that they can still do it and do it at a high level.
Well, Brian, a number of guys who have spent some time in the past with guys in the Raiders, has he been involved in any of those conversations, or is that just coincidental?
Well, I think some of it's coincidence, but certainly, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, if there's a player that, that we know that's had experience with him, certainly we seek his input on what his thoughts are and if he thinks that player is capable of helping us. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on your defense increasing turnovers this year, forcing turnovers?
My thoughts are we need to take the ball away more. Look, I thought we started, good today, and we had a couple of punch outs. It's interesting because when you go out there to practice, you're looking at both sides as the head coach, and on one side we punch the ball out, and you're excited that we're punching the ball out. But yeah, we got to do a better job of protecting the ball this year too. So there'll be a little bit of give and take, but obviously we got to do a better job overall as a team in that area, turnover takeaway margin.
Since you didn't see anything of Kenbray really, who's kind of on the shelf during off season, are you watching him more intently? Anything and how long before you can maybe, especially in pass protection, trust a rookie running back there?
Well, the second part of your question is hard to answer. I mean, it depends on the player. we're going to give him a lot of reps and give him a lot of opportunity to prove to us that he can do it, both in the run game, in the passing game in terms of a receiver, in the passing game in terms of a protector. Obviously, protection is probably the toughest thing on a rookie running back in terms of understanding where the mic point is and who he's got, and safety rotation can change that. So there's a lot that goes into that. So yeah, look, as we are with all of them, we're going to evaluate all of them, but certainly today would have been the first look we got at him. Okay, guys, thanks.
Oh, 11:15. Look at us. Yeah, hydrated. Always trying to get better. 1% better every day.
Your team photo turned out the way you wanted it to?
I think so. It was giving me early Jewel Santana. I don't know what inspired the chin strap this year, but I was like, you know what, chin strap me. I feel like I'm in the early 2000s again. So if you see me walking around a 5X tall tee, I'm back.
But Y2K is in right now,
Man, I'm telling you. You said Y2K, not B2K, right? Because I can't go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always like to see Jimmy Graham back in.
The gang is back. When you see that 6'8" post up tight end, you like that. I think that's just more weapons for our offense. We already had a lot of weapons. You talk about. I think Foster had a good catch today. I think Juwan was out there moving how we want Juwan to move in terms of what our offense can do. It's only going to get more and more dangerous. I'm not saying I like what I see, but of course, why wouldn't I like what I see? We'll see what happens when we put pads on.
Cam, another training camp for you.
God bless. Look at that. Look at God.
How you feel?
This is year Baker's dozen, aka year BD. I can't say baby daddy, but I have babies and I'm a daddy, so like it goes together, but it doesn't. But whatever. I'm blessed to have a job and be gainfully employed. I'm even more blessed to be around teammates that are the same mindset and that want to win. And from jump, you can feel that energy. We drafted a first-round D tackle for the first time in 6 years. I'm excited to see him in pads. I've got no complaints my way. Well, maybe one. What do you mean? There's no comparison. I spent 5 years with Marcus. I've now spent heading to year 3 with Peyton. They're all like little brothers to me. So you don't say which brother do you like more, do you? Sure, you have a favorite, but I've spent more time with Marcus. So Peyton's right there. And his hunger to want to be great is totally in range of where he sees himself. Now he's just got to go work for it. We're going to, I think he's done a phenomenal job this offseason transforming his body, being where he wants to be. And then, as long as we keep him on the right track and that, that one game against, what was it last year, the Rams, where he went off, that's what we need to make a standard. If we can do that, be 34 sacks a year, huh?
Kim, how would an improved interior rush help you just do your job, get opportunities?
I mean, you get consistent presence in that interior. You get a monster. You find a monster between Shep or Brees. I keep calling him Brees because his darn D-line coach keeps calling him Brees. Brzee. I think that with that it'll be a formidable force to let me do what I do on the edge. It might be nice to have two monsters in the middle. Again, I don't see message Ransom. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry.
You've worked with about 60 different defensive tackles here.
Yeah, I love them all.
What stands out? What makes Brzee unique?
I don't know yet. Can we put pads on? Don't ask these hard questions yet. They all look phenomenal without pads. Shep looks the most explosive I've ever seen him in his life. I think Bink, Kalen Saunders, I think he looks phenomenal without pads. Give me a week. Let me see him in pads. Let's see how we work off him. But even today, I had a natural with Bink. We call him Kalen Saunders. He introduced himself as Bink. He's been Bink since. So I worked a natural with him today, and he read it off rip. And you love to see that type of mental processing. Like I literally just threw one command, like one little verbal exchange with him, and we were on the same page. I love to see it. So the more reps we have, the better we'll be, and hopefully we'll have enough reps to be as confident as we can by preseason week 1. If not, then we're going to work towards that same goal for week 1 of the season.
How challenging is it to build that communication that you're referencing with?
Depends on the player. Yeah, depends on the player. if so said one defensive tackle comes from Nigeria and doesn't like to listen to you on the edge for the first year, by year 3 you guys are simpatico. If you have a D tackle that's from Canada and he keeps apologizing while rushing, these are things that we have to get over. I think we got a phenomenal kid from Clemson, and kids from the South. You have to talk a little bit louder, a little bit clearer. They have to confirm it. Now he may come back with something that you don't. He's got a little Cajun to him, and I'm not sure why. Because is he from Delaware? Okay, but these are things that you have to deal with. If you're dealing with any people, you have to know who your people are.
How would you describe your role with those young guys, with Foskey and Brzee, and how comfortable are you with being that guy?
It's been the same role I've had since year 3, with that huge overturn when Will Smith left, with Jonathan Vilma left, when Jeff Charleston left, with all the Big Rogers left, Sean, Big Abreu, Broderick, all these guys left. So I've been in that same role for the last 10 years. It's one I only know. The young guys come in, I tell them what we do, how we do. I try and cultivate. They bring in new things. I learn from them. They learn from me. We keep it pushing. We try and be the best D-line we can be.
Hey, Cam, you talked about training camp number 13 for you, but
right?
How high do you see that number going?
Right. Yeah. I've got no answer for you at that point right now. I mean, I keep saying, I was like, I want to play till year 15. I already said, when I was younger, I was like, year 10 is the goal. I got to make it to year 10. Year 10. I made it to year 10. I was like, all right, well, now I'll check in at year 12. And I checked in last year, and I was like, dang, I ain't never gone into an offseason feeling this good. And so now, we head into year 13. I'll check in 15 again. We'll see where we go from there. The goal is 15 right now. And the goal for this season, after we get done with this, I probably want to talk about how many more years I want to play after this. I will be trying to win the Super Bowl. I want to take Derek Carr back to Vegas. I want this defense to be the number 1 defense. I want this offense to be the number 1 offense. We all have the loftiest of goals and expectations, but it doesn't matter what we say right now. It matters what we work for and what we earn. So my goal right now is to speak 15 into existence, but focus on year 13.
Cam, what can you accomplish between now and when you put the pads on?
To accomplish what we want to accomplish is to be physically sound, technically sound, and mentally prepared. And this part of camp, this 3 days ramping up in 2 pads, is a mentally prepared part. We want to be as sound in our minds with our playbook as we are on the stunts that we have to execute on the field. So when those meet and our physicality meets that, then when we put pads on, we should be rolling. And it's not going to be clean this first week or 2. So don't come a week or 2 later like, oh, you guys look like crap. Things take time. You don't ever just grab putty and make a statue. We're going to take some time to mold. We're going to take some time to build them. That's what training camp is.
When you do put the pads on, is that a significant benchmark for defensive line?
Absolutely. That's the only benchmark. Nobody cares how good you look without pads. If they cared about that, they'd go back to the 7-on-7 league. We're not here to look good without pads. We're here to be the best we can be in pads. So right now, again, we're going through the mental process of, all right, this is the steps I need to take. This is how I need to extend my arms. This is where I need to have hand placement. This is where this play works here, where I got a safety behind me in cover 2. This is where I can press it. This is where I need to see the mental process, even with myself included. So that being said, I'm trying to be the best version I can be to set an example for the best people that my D-line wants to be, and then we'll go on from there. So when we put pads on, we're on the same accord.
Okay, how's your guy Mark Ingram going to do in the television booth?
He's Mark Ingram. He's Alabama's first Heisman Trophy winner. He's the Saints' lead rusher. This guy's phenomenal. He's already had a podcast for like 3 years, Trust Levels. I don't know what happens now because now he's bigger and better than Trust Levels. He's moved on. He's on to bigger and better things. And yet, we're still talking about it. We're still, I just talked to him last night. I love it for him. For everything that he's done on the field, he's deserved everything that he's going to earn off the field. And he's the same guy. He's bringing that same energy. I can only imagine what, I'm not going to say, a blander cast is doing, but like he's bringing juice to a show that already has some juice.
When you said speak, did you say speak year 15 into existence? What did you mean by that? Is that what you said?
Are we not Christians here? Look, you speak everything you want to do. You want to manifest into existence. So if I want year 15, I can't be like, oh, I hate to see year 15. I'm literally going to speak it into existence. I'm like, hey, I would love to see year 15. I'm going to work for year 15. I'm going to be in year 15. That being said, I've got to worry about what's in front of me. I've got to worry about year 13. I got to worry about training camp day 1 meetings before I can get to training camp day 2. So I'm just taking one step at a time. I'm focusing on what I can control.
So how does that jive with where your contract is now?
I don't know. I'll let you, Mickey, and my agent figure that one out. Me, a contract for the next 2 years, contract for the next 7 years isn't going to affect the way I play, practice, or take the field. Now, hopefully it comes. Y'all take it easy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good.
We good, Davis?
Go ahead. Fire away.
How was day one?
It was good. Good start. There's a new CBA. It's a short practice, but no, it was a good start. Meetings were great last night. Everybody was out there, so that was fun. OTAs and minicamp didn't have the full arsenal of everybody, but having everybody out there today, seeing them in the huddle, getting reps with them, throwing them the ball, calling plays, with the O-line and all that, felt good to have that group, and hopefully we can just build on it, keep everybody healthy, and see what we can do.
Derek, what are you looking to accomplish here early in camp? Because DA says you have a pretty good grasp of the offense.
I just want to compete now. I feel, it's not a new language now. It's my language. It's our language, and so to me, I'm just trying to be that leader, be that quarterback position to show the guys that they can look to me when they're tired. They can look to me when it's hard, and they can, even if I screw it up, they can still look to me. And just build that camaraderie and that leadership within our team. To know that that trust and respect is mutual with everybody, and compete. That's what we're here to do. We're here to compete. We're here to beat the defense every day until we get to play somebody else. And if hopefully they don't get us, but if they do, we come back the next day and we get them again. So just that mentality to not stop is really, I would say, probably the main goal for all of us as an offense, and reps together. The more reps that we can get with everybody in that huddle, the better I think that we could be.
Yeah, what can Jimmy Graham bring to this table?
Well, besides the resume and the leadership and who he is in the locker room, he's a great guy. Jimmy was one of the guys Devontae would always talk about. That he just loved him as a person, loved him as a teammate, and I didn't even know Jimmy then. And then when we signed him, the very first thing is Jimmy was talking about how much he loved Devontae. So I was like, okay, it's mutual. They like each other. And so that was my only impression that I had of him from afar. And then yesterday we sat there and talked for 30 minutes, and we talked about Drew, Aaron, Seattle. We talked about a whole bunch of different stuff, and I had questions for him, and all that stuff, especially as a pilot too, flying around and stuff like that. So we were just getting to know him, what makes him tick. But when you get around him, you're like, you would just want him in the locker room. His leadership to that tight end room, leadership to everyone on the offense. He's the first guy. Hey, if you need anything said, you tell me and I'll say it. He's that kind of guy. And so he reminds me a lot in that aspect of Lee Smith. Was that kind of leader. I played with Lee in Oakland, and he was that kind of leader. Whatever you need, I got it. And when you have a guy that has your back like that, it always feels good.
Derek, how did it feel finally a practice rather not against Aaron, but you had a completion of Michael Thomas?
Oh, it felt great. I think it was good for everybody. I think it was good for everybody. To see that, and okay, everybody take a deep breath, and now we just work. Now we just build off of it, and to be able to throw him a ball. I've gotten to throw the football to a lot of guys with a lot of catches in my career. And he's another one that's special. He's a great teammate. He works his butt off, and he's worked really hard to get to where he's at today. And so, first thing I'd say is I'm just proud of him, all the work that he's put in and what he's endured, and the injuries and the hardship. But he's fought through it, and he's answered the questions, and he's done the work, as we all know he would. And so to see him out there run a route, catch a ball, and get upfield for a big gain, I know that was good for him. But it was cool for me to see too, just out of respect for him as a person. Just see that work that he's put in.
Derek, you and Chris Olave had a nice connection over on the right sideline. How do you feel the kind of how you two are seeing the field together is growing over the course of the year?
Yeah, I feel like now, at first it was like, hey, I see it this way, you see it this way, let's do it like this. And, that was OTAs. And I kind of hit on that a little bit during OTAs and mini camp, and then we put some work in Vegas together. A group of guys came out and we did that, and now it just feels like he's my wideout and I'm his quarterback, and we're just playing football now. And of course, there's always going to be things like, hey, I thought it was this, or maybe do it like that. And there'll be a little stuff like that, but it's not every play. It's not every route. We're just playing football now. Like when he made that break, and the way he did it, the timing of it, I was ready for him. All that, like those are good signs. That it's heading in the right direction. Doesn't do anything for us today, but it does show that we have put the work in. And he's put the work in. He's a sponge, man. He just wants to do whatever I want him to do. And I'm trying to push him to, you be free in some of that too. Use what God gave you, because I can't do what you do. So, to see him run that route and at the right depth and all that kind of stuff, right timing, that just shows that we're heading in the right direction.
Derek, it's been a couple of months now with Pete Carmichael. How would you describe your relationship with him, and maybe how is he different? Like what is like the Pete Carmichael signature that you can see at this point?
Oh man, he is the same guy every day. He's just even keel. Great personality. When he walks in the room, you can't be in a bad mood. Like he is just such a good guy, and being around him, and you see, now that I've been around him so much time, you see how smart he is. He's like, hey, they're gonna do this, like this, blah blah blah, and you're like, wow, it happened just like he said. And a lot of guys you get around, it's easy in coaching too to long hours, all that, to go like this, but he is like this every day. And that's something that Drew said about him. When I talked to Drew before I signed here, Drew was like, you're gonna love him. He's even kill, he's smart, and all the things that Drew said, he's been all of that. And I've thoroughly enjoyed being around him. I continue to learn from him. I've been blessed to be around a lot of really great coaches and smart coaches, and he's another one. So it's been fun.
After being here for a little bit, how do you feel kind of being out in front as the new face of this franchise, the city, the Superdome, all these different things moving forward?
Yeah, now I just feel like a part of the family. At first, my daughter was running out there today after practice, and she's like, touchdown Raiders. I was like, no, don't say that anymore. So it was still new. It's new for them, obviously, but to me, it just feels like home now. This is my home. I'm going to give New Orleans everything that I have, and that's physically, mentally, in the community. Anything that I can do to help somebody and help us win and bring excitement to the city, and help encourage some people in the city, I'm going to do it. And I've set out to do that in Vegas. I'm still doing that in Vegas because I said I would. I'm still working on things there. I'm going to do it here because I said I would. And so I'm going to do everything that I can, but I'm not going to try and help them win. I'm going to try and help us win. So.
Derek, I think a lot of people think of like the quarterback as like the go-to kind of leader on the team.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about establishing leadership here. How do you do that when you're coming into a new organization? You're meeting a lot of new faces.
Yeah.
And what's kind of the most important step?
This is my first time stepping into a new, organization, right? And so for me, I just was going to walk in and I was just going to be myself, and this is me, this is what Mickey asked me to be. He's not asking me to be anything I'm not. Mickey, when he asked me, and DA asked me to be here, they said, we want you to come here and be you. That's all I've done. And it was an easy fit because I don't feel like I have to be the leader or I have to pull everybody. Like, it's not that. We got Cam, we got Tyron, we got DeMario, we got Mike, we got Alvin. Everyone's saying the right thing, doing the right things. Eric, we got so many guys doing and saying the right things that, we're all doing it together. And one of the things that I thought was cool, I asked Cam, about I said, hey, you're one of the leaders on the team. How do you feel if I come there? Like, that's one of the questions I asked Cam, before I signed here. I was like, 'cause I want to walk into a locker room where I'm wanted, and he said, one of the very first thing he said, I'm not the leader. He said, we got a team full of leaders. And I was like, that's it. Right when he said that, I forgot what the rest of the message said. He may not even wanted me, but when I saw that, I was like, I'm coming here because he sees it the same way I do. It's like, it's going to take all of us to lead. And so I'm not trying to be the guy. I'm just trying to be one of the guys and be one of the guys doing it the right way and showing everybody else what it's supposed to look like.
Quick climate question here. I know maybe you dealt with it in Vegas as well this year, but how have you seen that evolve in the NFL in terms of awareness about balancing health versus mental toughness? In training camp when the heat is in the news as like an issue that can affect health.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one of the parts is training in it. You hopefully that guys aren't just running in air conditioning all the time and then you show up to training camp. You gotta acclimate to it. I think I don't know the science behind everything, but I know it feels better when I run and throw outside in Vegas in the 115, you know, and then when I go to practice, it felt better. And so I was doing the same thing out there. I was, you know, working out, throwing. I was doing everything outside in Vegas, and so that when I got here, I was used to the heat. And so I don't know all the science and all that stuff behind it. I have a rec major from Fresno State, and so I do my best to understand it. But for me, I just do what our, you know, strength staff has taught us, and over the years I've seen the growth in that, though, for sure. From when I first came in the league to what we talk about now, it's definitely a difference on the things that we talk about, the way we practice, how long we do something. You know, we may stretch in here and then how much time you're actually accumulating outside during a week and all that, and all that stuff. There's, you know, stats behind it that back it up. So we do things a certain way now. It's different.
Just a couple examples, like just water breaks, more water breaks, or what do you know?
Yeah, I mean, you got to stay hydrated for sure. You know, yeah, with the heat stuff, and the heat stuff's always been around. You know, so that's one of the first things they talk about when you're in this kind of climate. You got to stay hydrated, but you don't do it just the day of. It's days in advance. Like I'm doing this for tomorrow. You know, it's not for today. You know, so you know, that's some of the things that we've just learned over time, and just keeping your body cool. You know, you got to let it sweat. You got to stay as cool as you can.
What feels more aggressive out there, the dry humidity, or the dryness, or the humid?
Well, the dry in Vegas, it just feels like your skin is going to fall off. You know, it just feels like it's boiling. You know, but it's so dry. Like you can see, like in my hands, I have cracks all in my hands from throwing out there because it's so dry. Like throwing so much, it'll crack, like literally split your hands. And so, like I would have chapstick in my pocket at practice, putting it on my fingers so it wouldn't like crack and rip open. But out here, I don't need that. You know, I instantly go out there and the ball is tacky. You know, and like in Vegas, I would always spray my jersey because it was so dry there. I needed something during the game, so I'd spray water on my jersey so I had like a little something on there. Here, I don't think I'm gonna have to do that.
You mentioned working out with some of your teammates in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Who all came out there to work out with you?
Yeah, I won't say everybody, but there was a good group, 7, 8 guys, you know, that came out. I don't want someone like, why wasn't he there? You know, everyone has stuff, you know. But you know, a lot of guys came out, and we were in Vegas. We had a little 2-day little thing where we went to dinner one night, and we just had a good time. You know, just again, it was the work was important, but even more than that, getting to know each other. You know, letting them see me, you know, in my home and you know in my element and that kind of stuff.
When was that, Derek?
It was last week or the week before, something like that.
And it was mostly pass catchers or skill position guys? Or?
It was just guys. Yeah.
No, but I meant like
Yeah.
that was the idea was to.
Yeah.
Derek, I know it's early in training camp here. Obviously, it's just the first day, but including OTAs, minicamp, what are you seeing from the defense and their ability to make things tough on a quarterback?
Man, I told DA, you know, after one of the minicamp days, I said I absolutely love practicing here because it's so difficult. I have to be so on it every rep. There's no like this is just going to be open. Like that doesn't happen here. You know, the way they play their zones, the way they play their mans, and you know different things. The way that how good the players are. You know how good the rush is. I have to be on time. You know I have to be accurate. You know all those things. You know you saw a play made today right on the ball. I mean, it's great coverage, and that's just not a layup. So now it's going to push us to even go harder. You know and so all it's doing is making us better. But at the same time, hopefully we're doing that to them too. You know, hopefully they have good coverage and we put a ball out there and they get mad at themselves. You know, because we were able to hit it and all that stuff. So, you know, as good as it's been going against them and all that, hopefully we're doing the same thing to them.
1 or 2 more.
Derek, do you remember the first game you played in the Superdome?
Mhm.
Have you been giving some thought? What's it going to be like, first game in the Superdome in St. Louis?
I think it'll be a little bit more quiet for me this time than it usually is when I've been here. But I do remember the first time because all I remember is we gave Drew too much time to get down the field when we went for 2 and threw that fade to Crabtree. And so, and of course they went right down and we almost made that field goal to beat us. But I also remember doing a flip over somebody and then looking at DA and going like this, you know, on the sideline. So I got good memories in there. Also got some bad ones. We couldn't, you know, get 1 yard last year. So I got a lot of memories, but hopefully we have some better ones this year and people aren't screaming at me as much.
Derek, what's the
Last one.
Faces like Edwards and Abram out here in New Orleans with you?
Oh, it's great. You know, we have some great stories that we can tell, and you know, we've had some funny teammates over the years that guys ask questions about and stuff like that. So it's been fun. And then, you know, my kids, they saw me, but as soon as they saw Foster, my kids took off running to go see Foster, and like Foster. They used to, when Foster would come over to our house in the Vegas, I'd be like, we're all getting ready to go play out, go outside and play pool basketball or something. I'm like, where's Foster? He's in my kids' room and they're playing, NBA Jam or whatever, So Foster is like their best friend. So they were more excited to see him today than me. But it is good to, have friends around. Like my oldest today, he's like, is John here, Dad? I was like, yeah, Abram's here, son. So my kids love it, and obviously I love it because I've been friends with them for years. Cool. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Derek.
Yep.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Darren, I know it's only literally the first day, but how big of an emphasis is turning around that turnover number from a year ago for you guys this year?
Yeah, obviously it's been a point of emphasis, throughout the whole spring. We're really just trying to come together as a unit and do what we need to do. I think if we're able to create turnovers, we could put ourselves and our team in a position to, be successful.
You guys are bringing back a lot of the same guys from that secondary last year. Just to help having that year together now, and you guys know each other a little bit better and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're definitely more comfortable, with each other. Obviously a big part of it is, all of us kind of staying healthy, throughout camp and throughout the season. But we definitely have a talented group, but it's a lot of work that, we still need to put in to kind of, get us to the point where, we know we're one of the best, in the league.
What's it like to have another Purple Night in here?
Feels good, man. Definitely feels like home, for sure. Trey has always been a great player, even going back, to St. Aug. So it's good to have him around.
Did he talk to you much about coming here?
No, I didn't even know he was on a visit. So I probably found out when everybody else found out.
Did y'all play together at all?
We did.
A little bit?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Were you able to? Did you try to sneak a peek at what Jimmy Graham looked like?
Nah, it was funny, man, because I was in the equipment room and he kind of walked by, and we had some words, and Ted Ginn was here in the spring, and so obviously I played against both of those guys. I played with Ted in the past, and as we're talking, I'm looking at him and I'm thinking he's about to coach or he's helping out coaching. So I asked him, I said, "What you coaching?" And he was like, "Nah, I'm playing." So he kind of surprised me with that one, but he looks good, I definitely feel like he can help us still.
Is there like when you get to a certain point on the calendar and you get later in your career, do you appreciate guys like that more, trying to still do that?
Yeah, anytime I see a guy that age that I played against 10 years ago, kind of makes me feel old, but obviously helps you appreciate where you're at and the chance that opportunity that you still have playing football.
And Tyler, speaking of where you're at right now with you and Marcus May as far as communication, and are y'all thinking on the same wavelength, and particularly how well y'all finished the season last year?
Yeah, I think we've definitely grown in that aspect. I think me and him still have a lot more to prove and a lot more to offer. So it was good to kind of get here in the spring. And both of us being present, every day and, practicing together, watching film together. So, I'm pretty sure that'll continue as we go through camp and, hopefully, we both stay healthy and it kind of carry us, throughout the season.
How do you feel this year as opposed to a year ago? More comfortable? You've been with one franchise for a long time and came here. So how do you feel this year?
Yeah, I feel good. I got a lot of great players around me, a lot of great teammates. I got some pretty good coaches too. So, I know for me personally, I definitely feel like I can be much better. And so, that's always the goal, as a football player, is how you can come back and be a little bit better. So, just looking forward to having that opportunity and, letting the chips fall where they may.
Tyron, you've been blessed to see a lot of different quarterbacks in different places kind of try to put their stamp and leadership on a team. What's your viewpoint of how Derek Carr has tried to do that, joining kind of an established veteran team?
He's been doing this a long time. few guys try to force it, and then there's other guys that it kind of comes natural to them. And I think he's one of those guys. He's just a natural leader. He doesn't do anything crazy. He doesn't yell or scream. But he's the first one in line. He's the first one here in the building. He's one of the last people to leave off the field. So and a lot of guys gravitate towards him, especially offensive guys.
You've gotten to him a few times. Has he picked your brain? Have you given any secrets away to him?
I mean, we've had a lot of different battles, throughout the years. He, even when we had practice, he always kind of looking at me, making sure I'm where, I was, pre-snap. So we go back and forth a lot.
He was just out here talking about how difficult the defense here makes it for a quarterback. What about him makes it difficult for a defense?
Well, I think an underrated, part of his game, is his scramble ability. His ability to kind of move the pocket, and then he can make every throw too. So, I think as a defense, you got to cover a lot of blade of grass. When you're dealing with a quarterback that could, make every throw.
Harold, sorry, asking a question about Harold taking off LSU. A lot of comparisons. Your 2011, his 2022 season. Have you had conversations with him? Do you like his game there? Because there's a lot of y'all both popped and kind of blew up on the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to say, man, he was much better than I was. I think the things he did as a freshman, being that kind of impact player. I played in the secondary, so people can kind of pick and choose when to get me involved in the game. I think with a guy like that plays in the front seven, they don't have a choice. You know what I mean? Like, they got to deal with him, each and every week. So, definitely looking forward to him, having a big season, this year.
Have you had one-on-one conversations with him?
I've talked to him a few times, but never nothing, personal over the top now.
Maybe they'll let him return punts too, so they'll really get a chance to go.
Yeah, man, got to give your best players a shot at the Heisman, man.
Whether it's baseball, basketball, you've always been a guy who's been around all those athletic players since you left the program. And even here, when you're working with the how much pride do you take in being an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of us, make it out of here, and so, it's a great opportunity and it's a great responsibility. And I've met some of the best people I've ever met, at LSU. So some of those people are still, dear friends to me. So, I've learned a lot of life lessons too, at that program. So, it always kind of hold a special, place in my heart.
A guy like Trey Morgan from the baseball team too says he looked up to like one of his heroes. Kind of the same story getting out of New Orleans.
Yeah.
He's done as a football. You hear those kind of things?
Yeah, I hear it a lot, man. And, like I said, sometimes it kind of makes me feel old. And, other times it kind of helps me appreciate, the journey I've taken. So, just blessed to kind of still be on that journey and, still be an inspiration, to a lot of younger guys.
Tyron, how is it healthy for y'all to have a balance between veterans such as yourself and the really talented young DBs working together in the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you could kind of add that, quote unquote experience, with the youth, I think we both can kind of help each other. Obviously the younger guys don't know as much or have not seen as much football as I've seen. And, obviously with me kind of getting up in age, I don't run as fast as those guys. So, it's definitely a healthy balance.
So is the pressure on the football team now after those 2 days?
Pressure on Brian Kelly, you know what I mean? Between the women's basketball and, what Jay Johnson has done, man. But I think Brian has a good chance, man. He has a good football team. He got a good program, and he got a quarterback. So a lot of times that's all you need.
Tyron, there's been a lot of conversation over this offseason about creating more turnovers on the defensive side. How do you think Joe Woods factors into that element?
Well, he has a lot of experience. He's coached a lot of great secondaries. I think 2 of them in particular was the Broncos secondary, and then when the 49ers, when we played them, in the Super Bowl when I was with the Chiefs. So, he's put his stamp, on some good secondaries, and most of those guys found a way to, be an impact and take the ball away. So we hoping he brings some of that good mojo, over here with us. Good. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep.
Day one back out of training camp, how was everything for you?
It was great. It felt really good to be out there with the guys again, building that chemistry early. So it's always good to be out there with the guys on the defense, the guys that you're going to go out there and ball out with. So it's always a good feeling.
How does it affect your game to have new folks along that front defensive line, along that front seven?
It, I would say that happens year by year. You get a new front guys, so you just got to adjust, see how they play, how you might fit off of certain players based off of what they kind of do and what their style of play is, basically. But I'm confident in those guys, and we got some dogs ahead of us, so that helps out the linebackers a lot.
Have you seen a change in Zach Vaughn, maybe him just elevating his game?
Yeah, I would say definitely his game, but more so his confidence. I mean, he's going out there with a different purpose now. You can definitely see it by the way he is kind of anticipating out there on the field. Very, very confident, and he's just a step faster, I feel like, and that all starts up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that obviously Caden Ellis is left. Is there a lot of competition between Vaughn and DeMarco for that position?
I wouldn't say, I don't know about that. I just think both of those guys are going out there and trying to give 100% every single day. But DeMarco, Zach, they're both playing really well. So just like to see them keep stepping it up.
Pete, what are you looking to build off from last year? You had a productive year. What are you looking to build off?
Yeah, I just think just keep getting better every single day. Keep taking steps in the right direction. I got to get better with, keep getting better with confidence, developing that chemistry with Mario, becoming a better vocal leader, and kind of showing others the right thing to do and what's expected. So I'm excited for this year. I have high expectations for myself, high goals. So just taking steps forward in the right direction is kind of the way I see it.
Now, when you say confidence, do you mean you need to be a little bit more comfortable, or what do you?
I'm just trying to play faster and faster every single step, every single play after play. So I think if I'm right mentally, then that'll make me play better physically.
What have been your early impressions of Joe Woods as a coordinator?
I love him a lot. I've learned a lot from him already. He's very, very smart. Is really big on details. So that I like that because I'm big on details as well. So I'm learning from him, and hopefully he's learning a little bit from me. But it's good to have a new coach, new perspective, a different style of teaching. But I've got great confidence in him, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
Pete, how do you kind of view some of the injuries you've had to deal with your first few years? And is any of that, can you find ways to prevent that in the off season, or is it just kind of circumstance with injuries going to happen in this game? How do you do that?
I think some are hard to some are hard to, I say, control.
Yeah.
In my head, I can control a few things. I've done a lot in the off season to try and make myself a better player and more a durable player. I don't really want to think about it though.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to go out and play. All that stuff is behind me. So I'm a new player, and I'm just trying to go out and execute at the end of the day and do well in football, not really that other stuff.
What are your impressions of Nick Anderson from Tulane?
Oh, Nick is he's a hard worker. He's a really hard worker, and he picks up on everything really, really fast. He's a great guy. I have high expectations for him. He loves the game. He's always trying to learn, asking me questions. But he's a high energetic guy. He's got a motor, so you're never going to see an effort issue with him. He's always going to be the first guy to the ball, and I think he's going to be a good player for us.
When you look back at last year, you guys pretty much across the board had really good defensive numbers, except for turnovers.
Yeah.
Is that something when you kind of look over all the chances, there were just like missed opportunities, ball didn't bounce your way? That's something you feel like you can pretty quickly turn around?
I would say sometimes there's a matter of luck to it, but then again, I don't think that we were aggressive enough. I mean, we can be a top 10 defense and run stopping, third down, all this stuff, but if you don't have high number and takeaways, you're not going to be a good defense. So turnovers are high on the pedestal this year, just because you're given another chance for the offense. So I think our being aggressive wasn't necessarily as high as we wanted it, and that's big for getting turnovers. So I think we're placing a high emphasis on it now. So if we continue to do that, that luck might show in our favor just because we've been doing it. So it's high up for us. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
How y'all doing?
So how does it feel to be back in New Orleans?
It feels pretty good to wake up in my own bed. It feels pretty good though. Just excited to be a part of the team. Out here in this heat, putting in some work.
Trey, was it always one of your goals to come back home, to be able to, I mean, you don't know if you're going to be able to do that, but was that something you kind of always wanted to do?
I think it was just one of my goals to play as long as I can. I turned 30 not too long ago, and I'm still playing the kids game, man. So just appreciate it for the opportunity. Appreciative of the opportunity, man. I'm a decade in, so no complaints on my end.
How overwhelming has it been with family, friends, everything for the last couple of days?
It's been cool. It's been pretty cool, but I've been in this game long enough to know after the congrats, the work starts. So just looking forward to keep putting in this work and keep getting better.
Are there any personal benefits to playing, an hour and 20 minutes away from your college program?
I hadn't put much thought into that one in particular, but it's cool to be home. I played high school football right up the road. My house is right up the street, so it's a little bit of comfortability into that. My parents right there, so I get to see them often. It's just some cool perks, but again, the work starts now, so you got to put in the work to make sure you maintain and do what you're supposed to do.
How big of a Saints fan were you growing up? Or were you a Saints fan?
Nah, I mean, definitely was a Saints fan. I got a couple days off from school to celebrate a Super Bowl, so got to be happy for that.
Trey, you had a long tenure in Carolina, and
moved a little more since then. What do you attribute that to? Is that just the business end of the game?
Sometimes, man, it's ebb and flow, man. Sometimes you get into situations and, maybe your coach is not there anymore, different personnel switches. Sometimes you may not be playing up the part. Whatever the case is, man, it's ebb and flows of the game. But, I continue to get a job, so I must be doing something right.
You think you can put roots down here?
Man, I feel like they're already there, to be honest, It's nothing but another a notch on my career. Again, I've been able to do this for a decade, man. Not many can say that, so I'm proud of what I've been doing.
How tough is it going from team to team and learning a new language and all that stuff?
I think that's probably the toughest part, the verbiage, the language. But it's ebbs and flows of the game, man. Sometimes you could be on the same team and get a different personnel, a different coach, different language. So, it comes with it.
It's only been a couple of days so far, first day of camp, but do you feel like it's, in terms of other times you've signed elsewhere, knowing your way around town, the familiarity, does that help you feel the focus a little bit more on football instead of all the other stuff that you know?
Yeah, it's definitely cool kind of having everything in place. I definitely think that makes it easier, but, the work is the work. You just got to put the work in. The work is going to always be hard. If it's not worth it. So I wouldn't say it's so much easier here. Maybe outside of football, of course, but the work is the work.
You decided to go pro. Do you remember where there was some surprise maybe, and then you think you've proven to people wrong the career you've had?
To be honest, my opinion is not to prove nobody wrong, it's to prove me right. I'm a firm believer in myself. I've always been like that. I've always been that way. You're going to always get naysayers, but, still I stand.
What was it like to get reunited with Tyron?
It's pretty cool, man. Got a chance to play with him in high school. I played on the same team in college. I think it's pretty rare you get to, see somebody at every level that you've been with. So, definitely appreciate that opportunity, and it's cool to have two Purple Knights in the building.
Trey, have you gotten much experience playing left guard over the years?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they haven't cross-trained you in a while, or did some of the recent stops have you see if you could do both? Or, yeah. So if that's obviously if you find yourself competing for a job, is that something you expect to be doing during this camp, or?
Whatever the personnel asks me.
Yeah.
So what was kind of reaction from your family when
I
those came?
I think everybody was excited, of course. But for me, I keep going back and say the same thing. It's work, man. You got to get back to work. Got to put in the work because you got to show results. So, all the congrats, I appreciate it. It's fun, it's nice, but just putting the work now, man. We in this heat, so we grinding. It's time to get it in. So all the congratulations for me is out the way. Somebody want to send me some water? Y'all can send some waters and Gatorades.
Trey, as a young Thundercat at St. Aug, what do you remember about that Super Bowl run with the Saints? Memories of that?
Man, you taking me back now. I do remember, after the game, how excited everybody in the city was and how it propelled the energy in the city. I don't think you had a sad face or a sad soul in the town that whole week. I could say month. I definitely think it was something that carried forward, especially, the resilience of the city that we have here. And again, I had to mention it again, we got a couple days off from school, so thank you, Mr. Breeze.
You mentioned Tyron, how long you've known him. I was wondering if you could revisit that in the context of what you remember about the day you had to leave LSU and what you felt about what he was going through then, and then maybe to be able to see how he bounced back at an NFL career and then end up on the same team with him now.
The first part of the question kind of tough for me, but it's just he's always been one of the best players on the team, man. A hell of an athlete, man. He's always been like that, and I just think his career has shown, and he's proven, the type of player he is. I don't really have to say too much about that. It's on film, so yeah.
Hey Trey, what's your early impression so far in working with Jari Evans?
I hadn't met Mr. Evans just yet. No, sir.
I feel like LSU's producing more offensive linemen maybe than from your days. You were like kind of the biggest star in the league at that position from LSU for a while.
I can't forget about guys like Kevin Moai, Andrew Whitworth, Ty McClure. I might be missing a few, but I definitely think we had a few, maybe some unsung heroes, but we definitely had a few. Then when you come out and you look at myself, Lyle Collins, or some guys like that. Ethan Posick is a guy who's still in the league now from LSU. I think we have a lot of guys. A lot of times, man, when you play offensive line, you don't necessarily know the accolades or you don't necessarily know the stats. You just kind of see what you see and read what you read. And a lot of times, man, a lot of these guys deserve a lot more respect than given. So I will say, I think maybe now we might get the recognition, but I feel like we've been putting out a lot of unsung heroes. Thank you, guys. Thank you.